Hello, welcome to another special edition of Arirang News. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. Acting President and Prime Minister Han Duck-soo promised his utmost to stabilize South Korea's domestic situation and diplomatic relations as he took over President Yoon Suk-yeol's executive duties on Saturday. This came after Parliament voted to pass the motion on impeaching Yoon over his martial law decree. Our Oh Soo-young explains.
The lights went out at the entrance of the nation's top office on Saturday, no longer reading "Welcome to the Presidential Office." This came after Parliament passed a motion to start impeaching President Yoon Suk-yeol, who ordered martial law on December 3rd. His duties were suspended as of 7:42 p.m. upon receiving the National Assembly's resolution at the Presidential Office. The next executive in line, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, assumed authority over state affairs, diplomacy and the military as acting president. Han hit the ground running as he presided over an emergency cabinet meeting, delivered a public address, and convened the National Security Council, pledging his utmost efforts to stabilize the country.
The government will adopt a humble stance, engage closely with the public, seek their cooperation, and maintain the trust of the international community. We'll ensure that you, the citizens, can feel reassured through steady and stable governance.
Han first stressed the importance of national security, calling for stronger military readiness to ensure no gaps in security and prepared to respond immediately to any crisis. He promised to make every effort as a whole government to maintain close alliances and trust with key partners, including the United States and their trilateral relations with Japan. Han also pledged to strengthen the government's response to support financial markets, public safety and order, and tailored support measures for vulnerable groups, as well as comprehensive disaster responses. On Sunday, Han met with National Assembly Speaker Woo Won-sik, emphasizing their commitment to cooperation between government and parliament to overcome the country's most pressing challenges. With over 40 years of working in the civil service, Han has been credited for his leadership in handling national crises such as the Osong underpass disaster, the disrupted World Scout Jamboree last year, and the doctors' protests against medical reforms. In fact, Prime Minister has experience of working for a caretaker government, having served as Chief of the Office for Government Policy Coordination under Acting President Ko Gon in 2004. Han plans to work from the government complex in Gwanghwamun Central, Seoul, and receive reports from secretaries remaining at the Yongsan Presidential Office, the National Security Council, and the Presidential Security Service. He met with presidential aides on Sunday, including the Chief of Staff Chung Jin-seok, to discuss how they will report to him and coordinate roles with the Prime Minister's office. They agreed that all organizational structures will shift to support the acting president's duties during the period of up to 180 days that the Constitutional Court will take to make a ruling on Yoon's impeachment case. With his executive powers frozen after 2.5 years, President Yoon now appears to be gearing up to challenge the proceedings and insurrection charges against him, having said he will not give up but fight to the end. Legal and political sources say Yoon is preparing to form a legal team to defend himself as court proceedings and investigations continue over the coming weeks and months. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
Acting President Han Duck-soo has assured U.S. President Joe Biden that the South Korean government is being run in accordance with the law and the Constitution following President Yoon Suk-yeol's suspension. According to the acting president and prime minister's office, the two spoke on the phone on Sunday morning. Han added that the government will continue to implement its foreign and security policies without any setbacks and will strive to ensure that the ROK-US alliance remains steadfast and continues to develop further. President Biden expressed his appreciation for the explanation, reaffirming his trust in South Korea's democracy and commending its resilience. On the diplomatic front, Foreign Minister Cho Tae-yul has pledged to be fully prepared for President-elect Donald Trump's incoming U.S. administration in January. The top diplomat's remarks were made during a press briefing on Sunday, one day after President Yoon's impeachment. Vowing to quickly secure trust and support for the leadership of acting President Han Duck-soo, Cho said he would maintain a firm ROK-US alliance and cooperative relationship between South Korea and Japan, as well as the momentum for trilateral cooperation. When asked about a possible diplomatic vacuum, Cho said the acting president's phone talks with U.S. President Joe Biden have quelled any such concerns. Over in Parliament, with Yoon's suspension from power, the main opposition leader has suggested establishing a consultative body between the National Assembly and the government to stabilize state affairs. However, the ruling party has responded negatively. Our political correspondent, Shin-young, reports.
Following the passage of the impeachment motion against President Yoon Suk-yeol, the main opposition party leader has proposed a plan to stabilize state affairs during Yoon's suspension from power. During a press conference on Sunday, Democratic Party leader Lee Jae-myung suggested creating a parliamentary-gov't consultative body.
The insurrection severely damaged national defense and security. Restoring normalcy in South Korea is urgent. The Democratic Party will work with all parties to stabilize the government and rebuild international trust.
Lee said that he had spoken with acting President Han Duck-soo and urged him to remain neutral and avoid taking political sides. The DP had initially considered impeaching Prime Minister Han. However, Lee said on Sunday that the party would not seek to impeach Han as too many impeachments could cause confusion in state affairs. He also called on the Constitutional Court to swiftly conduct Yoon's impeachment trial. Regarding his suggestion of establishing a consultative body, a senior official from the Prime Minister's office said that the government is ready to work closely with the National Assembly, including rival parties, to quickly stabilize state affairs. However, the ruling People Power Party floor leader Kwon Song-dong responded negatively to Lee's proposal.
People Power Party is still the ruling party. As we have done so far, we will continue to take responsibility and govern through party-government discussions.
Kwon's remarks came during a press briefing on Sunday following a closed-door party meeting. He pointed out that it is wrong and inappropriate for the DP to act as if it is now the ruling party and responsible for running the government after the impeachment motion passed. Shin-young, Arirang News.
Now, for the suspended President Yoon Suk-yeol, the legal battle begins between him and the impeachment motion. The two sides will make their cases at the Constitutional Court. While the law guarantees a decision by the court in 180 days, in the past two impeachment cases, it only took 2 to 3 months. Our Kim Do-yeon explains more.
All eyes are now on the Constitutional Court. At least 6 out of 9 judges will have to agree with the reasons behind President Yoon Suk-yeol's impeachment motion within the next 180 days by law. The legal fight is between President Yoon himself, who says he will fight to the end, and the National Assembly's impeachment motion. The chair of the Parliament's Legislation and Judiciary Committee, Chung Chung-rae, will represent the side that's pushing for this impeachment.
If it weren't for the people who stopped the martial law forces, the National Assembly wouldn't have had the time to vote on lifting the emergency martial law, as guaranteed by the law. Today's impeachment motion was possible because of the people's protection.
The justices will review what's on the impeachment motion. First, was Yoon's declaration of martial law within the authority of the president granted by the Constitution, or did the reasons for the declaration fail to meet the criteria of a constitutional declaration? Also, the impeachment motion included an allegation of Yoon committing insurrection, arguing that his deployment of troops to the National Assembly to stop it from operating was an act of rebellion with the intent of undermining the constitutional order. There will be open public verbal arguments made by the two parties in court. Right now, there are 3 vacancies on the bench, which could cause a delay in the decision. All 3 are positions allotted for the National Assembly to recommend, and the Speaker of the National Assembly pledged they will be filled as soon as possible. Another factor also could delay the ruling of the Constitutional Court. According to Article 51 of the Constitutional Court Act, the adjudication proceedings can be suspended if a criminal proceeding is underway for the same cause as in the request for the impeachment. If the police or prosecution investigation over the martial law declaration directly targets President Yoon, then the impeachment motion review can be suspended. While there are 180 days to decide on the motion by law, the past 2 impeachments didn't take that long. It took the court 2 months to decide that the impeachment of President Roh Moo-hyun was not constitutional, and he went back to his post. It took 3 months for the court to decide Park Geun-hye's impeachment was according to the Constitution, effectively kicking off a presidential election season. The number of verbal arguments also varies between the past two cases. And while the president is required to be at the hearings, they can be excused if they provide a reason. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Crucial figures who are accused of being part of the declaration of martial law are currently being questioned. Former commander of the Defense Counterintelligence Command, Lieutenant General Yoon has been arrested. An Sung-jin reports.
As the investigation process speeds up, more of the key figures from the declaration of martial law are being questioned. The prosecution's special investigative team applied for an arrest warrant for the former commander of the Capital Defense Command, Lee Jin-woo, on Sunday, who has been detained at a military detention facility and questioned after failing to respond to a summon. Former Commander Yi was in charge of the troops deployed to the National Assembly and had also received a call from President Yoon on the day of the martial law order. The prosecution office will be further questioning what specific orders were given by President Yoon. Earlier on Sunday, the prosecution's special investigative team also announced that it applied for an arrest warrant for Army Special Warfare Commander Kwak Jong-gun, who took part in deploying the 707th Special Missions Group. Commander Kwak has been summoned before, and though he claims that he disobeyed orders from President Yoon regarding the storming of the National Assembly, the prosecution office argues that Commander Kwak also took part in the insurrection. The prosecution's special investigative team also looked into related military officers for the deployment of martial troops to the National Assembly, including Commander An Mu-sung of the 9th Airborne Special Forces Brigade. Others have also been questioned, and former commander of the Defense Counterintelligence Command, Lieutenant General Yoon, has been arrested. The Central Regional Military Court issued an arrest warrant on Saturday, citing serious criminal charges and a flight risk. The arrest warrant also includes the deployment of troops at the National Assembly and the National Election Commission, as well as directions to arrest 14 key political figures. Former Commander Yo will be investigated for accusations of taking part in an insurrection and abuse of power. He is the first soldier on duty to be arrested regarding the martial law decree. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, Minister of Economy and Finance Choi Sang-mok, who also serves as Deputy Prime Minister, says he will communicate more closely with the National Assembly at a critical time that will determine the direction of South Korea's economy. During his opening remarks before an emergency ministerial meeting on economic affairs on Sunday, Choi vowed to convey the voices of the industrial sector to ensure critical bills, including the Special Semiconductor Act and Basic AI Act, are passed within this year. He also announced plans to release the economic policy directions for 2025 in collaboration with relevant ministries by the end of this year. This is all we have for today, but we will be back with more updates on Monday, 10 a.m. Korea time. Until then, goodbye.